Hello and welcome to our Freebie Friday video. It's Shade here again. Today we've been asked to talk about deficiency judgments in relation to mortgages. As we know, there can be deficiency judgments related to auto vehicles or any other kind of secured loans. But this time we're talking about mortgages because we're usually talking about real estate in our videos. And when a deficiency judgment comes up within the context of a mortgage, it's because the property was foreclosed on, and then the loan was foreclosed on, and the property was sold at auction, and then the amount that was recovered at the auction was less than the total amount owed at the time of the foreclosure sale. So, for example, if the borrower owed $200,000 on the total outstanding balance plus interest and costs and things like that, and at the auction the lender was only able to sell the property for $150,000, then we have a $50,000 deficiency on that foreclosure. On top of that, you could also have post foreclosure interest that will continue to accrue until until the time at which the lender actually moves to collect that payment. In the other instance that the deficiency would happen is if we have a short sale, whether or not the short sale was done through the lender or approved by the lender, as long as there's no waiver of the deficiency inside the short sale agreement, then meaning that the lender agrees to waive any deficiency, then the deficiency could come up later. The third context in which the deficiency might come up is when the lender tries to sell the property at a foreclosure sale, but nobody showed up to bid on it, or for whatever reason the bids were too low and unacceptable. So then the lender takes that property back on a credit bid for an amount that the lender thinks is the fair market value. So in our example, when the borrower owes $200,000, let's say the property itself is worth actually about $200,000, but nobody showed up, the lender may very well take that property back on a credit bid for $150,000. It could be $175,000, whatever their appraisers have deemed to be the fair market value. So that's how the deficiencies would normally come up. So what I would suggest is, if you're going into a short sale situation, the lender has to approve the short sale for it to go forward. Make sure that you are getting a waiver in the written agreement with the lender saying that they would waive any deficiency that comes up once the short sale goes through. The other thing you want to look out for is if it's already happened and now the lender is trying to collect from you, the lender has 2 years in order to be able to bring a lawsuit to try to collect that deficiency. Most lenders would not move to try to collect deficiencies because they're usually a small amount. The bigger amounts, of course, they do sue for that. I've seen deficiencies that are way over $100,000, $200,000, and that is unusual, but it happens. And the lender would then try to sue within the 2-year period. So you do have 2 years from the time of the sale for the lender to sue you, and they have to sue you to get a judgment and then go from there. Now, anytime within that 2-year period, you can negotiate a settlement. If you think that's appropriate, you should talk to a lawyer for sure, because especially if the fair market value doesn't seem to have been right at the time of the sale, you want to fight that and argue that the lender should have tried to get more for the property itself so that the deficiency will be smaller. You could also argue against the costs and interests and penalties and anything else the other charges on top of the principal balance, which would be attorney's fees, collection costs, and things like that. So get a lawyer to help you to do a debt validation, and also to see whether you could attack the fair market value that the lender has used to calculate the deficiency amount. If you're in court, you do have a right to that kind of evaluation, and you have a right to bring a professional of your own to argue to the court and testify that the fair market value was indeed not the right fair market value at the time, and it wasn't fair for the lender to sell it at a lower price or to take it back on a credit bid at such a lower price. And then at that point, that would reduce the total deficiency, and it would also give you leverage to be able to negotiate a good settlement. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us or contact another lawyer that does real estate, and they'll be able to help you. Or lawyers that do collection defense can also help you with this kind of question. All right, we'll talk to you next Friday. Happy Friday.